physically present quorum of the Rock Island City Council due to the disaster declaration issued by Governor Pritzker. Because of this order related to COVID-19 health concerns affecting the state and the city, the mayor has determined that an in-person meeting at City Hall with all participants may not be practical or prudent. Alderpersons and staff may not all be physically present at City Hall due to the disaster, and physical attendance at City Hall may be limited. To participate remotely during the public comment or public hearing portion of the meeting, please join by phone at 1-620-869-1488, PIN 230-861-354#.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Alderperson Robinson.
Present.
Hurt.
Here.
Gilbert.
Present.
Swanson.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Poulos.
Here.
Healy.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here. Thank you very much. I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for a moment of silence, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Public comment. Chief, is there anybody, can you? I think some signed up. Thank you very much. All right. First signed up is Gabe Bennett. Okay, try to keep the comments to about 5 minutes to keep things moving.
It's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I did ask if I could spray this since I'm taking off my mask,
Fine.
because I feel it's important that you actually understand how deeply committed and passionate we are about what's going on. So, the Rock Island Coalition of African American Stakeholders insist that the City of Rock Island return the African American Civil Rights Grant to the federal government for the following reasons. To the City of Rock Island, this is merely a $33,500, $5,000, and a means to an economic end. But to us, the African American community, this is more than just markers on a tourism trail. It's the stories of our lives, the stories of our ancestors' past, the stories of our children's futures, because knowing their past makes them stronger, more resilient, and will builds better citizens for the future. We feel that the city has acted with total disrespect for the Black community, and the statement that we keep hearing that no one knew who to contact in the Black community when we consider this to be disingenuous. The executive director of the MLK Center is an African American man. He's a city employee and a longtime resident of Rock Island. When politically expedient, these same politicians can identify key members of the Black community. When running for re-election, the same politicians can find the ministers from Black churches, find representatives from the NAACP, find members from the Black fraternities and sororities, and identify Black educators and business owners. While this list is not complete, it's substantial enough to determine who to talk to if you truly intend to engage the African American community. And due to the importance of our history, and due to the importance that our history has to our lives and the lives of future generations, we know that it is not too much to demand skillful historians, archivists, ethnomusicologists document and preserve the memories and experience of the African American community. It is also important that they capture the wisdom of our personal and firsthand accounts of pivotal events of our family's rich histories and contributions to the city of Rock Island. We see it as our right to have African American history of Rock Island properly documented by trained and credentialed African Americans that can be found in Rock Island. At Augustana College, such African American professionals exist. Each bring their own expertise to the table and are well suited to do this work. However, equally important is we also have community members that have been and are currently documenting and curating our local Black history. The difference between the Rock Island African American community and other participants of the QC Passport tourism touring our local history trail is that their history has already been documented by qualified professionals that we see as our right to document our stories. Yes, the Butterworth Center and Dear Wyman House, the German American Heritage Center and Museum, the Moline Preservation Society, the Putnam Museum and Science Center, the Richard Sloan Special Collection Center at the Davenport Library, the Rock Island Arsenal Museum, Rock Island County Historical Society, Rock Island Public Preservation Society, Rock Island Library, and the St. Ambrose University Library might be on the tourism trail. However, they provided the already documented history that they wanted to have included. Therefore, we insist that our history be gathered and told in a way that builds each generation of African Americans with pride and knowledge of knowing the past is their strength, a strong foundation for the future to stand on. As for the current companies contracted for this grant, meeting members of our African American community with arrogance, condescension, rudeness, and disrespect speaks to the reason that why we will not work with Pearson LLC and Media Link to document our history. So who do we trust to do this important endeavor? We choose that qualified professionals preserve our history. We seek out the stories that shed light on our lives and our heritage. We trust the credentialed African American professionals that can be found in Rock Island, in the Quad Cities, and at the University of Iowa, which is a rich resource of highly trained and skilled Black professionals that can respectfully document these stories and tell the African American history. In the words of Mark Morrell, there is no more powerful force than a people steeped in their history. So we really need for you to understand that we have a vote of no confidence in Pearson LLC and in Media Link. As far as collecting our histories and telling our stories, we do not feel that either of them are qualified to do this. And we really think that this grant needs to be given back because it's a grant that has been written by them. It needs to be restructured by professionals that you can find here in the Quad Cities. And I'm really surprised. Every time that anything happens, the standard bearer has always been Augustana College. To have actual Black historians with PhDs at Augustana College, and one has been here for the last 5 years, and no one thought to talk to them about trying to help collect the history of African Americans in Rock Island. So that's our vote. That's what we would like to see, and these are the reasons why we think that this grant should be just given back and started over. It's not that we don't want to become part of the history of Rock Island. We want it done in a way where it's done correctly. And quite frankly, especially after seeing the presentation, I just don't believe we have the qualified professionals to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next up is Edward Young, Jr.
Excuse me, that should be S. Edward Yancey, Jr.
Okay.
And I live at 549 22nd Avenue in Rock Island. I'm here for two reasons. One, I want to address item 25, that's on the agenda, and I have to address my alderman because I've tried to call him. And so, Mr. Hurt, this is not just to set you out, but I need to let you know that I don't want you to vote for this particular thing. I do want the grant sent back, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Shelley Moore. Okay. Okay.
Good evening. So I wanted to start off by I'm just speaking. I'm with the coalition, and so of course my belief as well is to give this grant back. We have started this grant out. The foundation is one of marginalization of the African American community. We had tried to have meetings with Charles Pearson and Natalie from Passports, 2 meetings where we discussed how we felt about not being consulted or brought in a partnership or just been made aware. We were particularly incensed that our own First Ward Alderman Moses Robinson had not even been he wasn't even aware of this grant, that Randy Tweet and the Economic Development Department of Rock Island had taken it upon themselves without consulting anyone from the African American community. We had a problem with that. We contacted and had a meeting through Zoom with Passports Media Link and Charles Pearson, and we were basically told that they were not obligated to speak with us, and that they had the right to do this particular grant and whatever they needed to do because they were qualified to do it. We were not. They told us that if they didn't do it, then no one else would. We were told these things. I had an interview with a reporter this afternoon from WHBF. She had informed me that she had had a conversation with either Natalie from Media Link or Mr. Pearson, and she was told that because Charles Pearson is African American, that qualifies him to come into a community that he knows nothing about, and that qualifies him. You can make of that what you will. What I make of that is borders on racism, because that's like someone saying that because you're a certain ethnicity, you should be able to do that. I myself, as a community organizer, I was trained. The first training was you go into a community and you do no harm. Your first line of business is to engage the stakeholders in that community to find out if they can contribute. You consider them to be experts at what they know. That was not done. We have been totally disregarded. And I would have to say by the city as well. Whoever commissioned this grant, and by the way, we were told by Randy Tweet that he didn't know who to contact. That was the reference in that statement, and that was insulting. So, speaking of the historical aspects of the marginalization of the people from the west end of Rock Island, from my memory, my young adult memory starts with the destruction of our business district on 9th Street in Rock Island, which was the blocks where the King Center is and across the street. The King Center was built during the urban renewal phase, and then directly across the street where a number of businesses stood, those properties were bought, and that whole block was destroyed. That was mid-'70s, late '70s, and it stood vacant until 2016 when Martin Luther King Park was constructed. Despite numerous attempts from community members to have something built there because we too need a strong economic tax base. We don't have that in the Black community. We have, and that is a direct attempt at silencing our voices. A few blocks down the street on 9th Street, the Rock Island School District closed Franklin Junior High School and left it sitting vacant for years and years. Many of us in the 80s petitioned to have that building repurposed as a community center. We thought we were operating in good faith, and that didn't happen. What we found out was, because we had said that we would go in and we would try to clean out the building, we found out all of the desks, the chalkboards, everything, tables were left inside. So at that point, we knew that there was no intention of repurposing anything. They allowed it to sit vacant for decades, and it's still vacant. I know that that is the school district and not the city council, but in our estimation, the way we see it, it is a direct historical assault on the Black community, silencing the Black community's voices. There's been an intentional disregard for the west end of Rock Island. Many of us have worked to rectify that and remedy that, but still, we are a blighted community with vacant buildings, empty lots, all of these types of things. And what we see and what we continue to experience is the lack of engagement, and that is the marginalization. And so here we are in 2021 when the grant was written, again, an example of silencing our voices. You silence us when you don't include us. And we need to be directly involved in anything that happens with the African American community. It is 2022. We are really here to say the coalition will not accept that, refuse to accept that, and we will protect our history and our sacred stories. So we vote again to send the grant back and have it constructed in ways that all of the other ethnic groups in Rock Island has been able to do. And that is to have professionals help us to create something that denotes our rich history. The West End community history does not begin with Black people. It goes back further than that. We have been left there. As you know, there was a history of redlining. Black people could not move out of that area. And so we remained there and just thrived there. We have stories. They are sacred, and we want to tell them, but we do not want to work with people who will disrespect us at every turn. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Carrie Jackson.
And for the record, it is Carrie Jackson Baker. I thought that's what I wrote on the paper.
You did. I thought that was the one above that. I apologize.
No, okay.
apologize.
You know, things of that nature is very important to me.
Absolutely. I apologize.
Okay, I want to just piggyback on the individuals that went before me. It has been going on too long. I can remember being in this community from the early 60s in grade school. It's sad to say that too long have this group that's in existence at this time do not value us as those that have came before us. With Moses being a young African-American male, it's sad to say that when someone said that he wasn't even included. So what is that telling me as a senior citizen taxpayer here in the Quad Cities? What is that telling me that if he's part of your platform, you don't respect him enough to include him? As Mrs. Moore said, it's sad to say that I can look around the table and I got flyers from some of you because it's coming up to be election time. And with election time, it's mighty funny you guys can find a way to find African-American homes. I'm an election judge for Rock Island County, been one for many years. But now I recognize that you have selective hearing, you have selected sight, you have a selected ability to conclude, to include when it's convenient for you all. I would like to say, I don't know much about what's going on. I did talk to my alderman today in regards to another situation that was about me, how we see all this advertisement, but yet I'm concerned that you had to go outside of the Rock Island County to get someone because the color of his skin so happened to be black, brown, light brown, medium brown, or whatever. And to think that we are uneducated, mostly everyone back here are college graduates of the black community that sits here tonight. We are more than you think we are. Because when we look back over our history, you can say we was about a movement. As I told young Moses today, I have been almost in a dormant state for a while now due to caring for my mother and then got some injury. But I'm back. I said, even if I had to come back from the grave to let you know, I am back. And I am back to make a difference. I am back to be the Moses of today, to go down and tell my peoples, we got to let these individuals know we will not sit back, we will not take back and just eat anything they put before us. So I say we're going to vote no, send the grant back. You can all shift your eyes and look at each other. But we are somebody here in the Quad City, and we do have a voice. And numbers are powerful. You don't see many here tonight, but don't think we have laid down and just not going to do anything, because that's not our intention. And while I'm here, I want you all to know that much money come into this Quad City area, but you have selected who you will give it to, who you will not help, who you will help. So I'm saying to you, we, as a body of believers here, are saying to you, if you exclude us, now, what are we supposed to do? Just sit down and accept it? No. We want to see change. We got some rich history. As Ms. Moore said, I grew up in the time frame of the 9th Street era, where there was the Jews and the black that worked together. Many of you was too terrified we didn't come down through there. You come now only when it's election time. We'll see you run up into the black churches and you put on the fake faces like you really care. But you only care that we make a difference by giving you my vote, our votes. So I say to you, and I say to Mr. Mose, like I told you earlier today, I'm back. Many things have happened in our community that because it appeared we didn't have a voice. But sometimes things have to happen in order for you to wake up, to get up. I'm about action, and I will make sure that others in our community know about action, that we, as a body of believers, must come together unified as one to let you all know that we would not just turn our back and say, well, we really don't have a voice, and if I say something, this person will say it to the cops, they'll say it to this one. And then we begin to be harassed. A lot of harassing is going on. A lot of houses are being destroyed in the black community. I'm not going on a tangent, but I'm just letting you all know. I have a friend that owned many properties. She was not even aware, because I called her, I said, why you let that nice house you put all that money in be torn down? She said, what you mean? I said, they out here now tearing your house down. Things of that nature is happening to us in the black community. We got people in the city will come through the black community and cite us for stuff. I got an elderly relative say, I got my pots out here because that's where I plant my stuff in for the summer. So, but yet we are penalized. We're told we'll be charged X amount of money if we don't move this out of our yard. But yet we pay taxes and we don't have a voice. So, Mr. Mose, we're here. And we want you all to know we're back. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thurgood Brooks.
Wearing glasses today. Have y'all seen me in glasses? Probably not. I've been up here a lot, but not without glasses. I had a bad eye problem with my contacts, but that's not why I'm here today. I don't want to be before you long. I'm not. I promise you. That's a literal promise. I'm upset that we're here at this moment because to me, you all know me. I believe I'm reasonable. I know I don't get my way all the time, but I believe in communication, which I've communicated with all of you multiple times. And if you're honest with yourselves, I believe you can say I'm a fair communicator. And I even listen. And I take it back, and where I need to make adjustments, I do. And if not, I don't. And I have 2 words today that can sum up where we are today, Mayor Tomes. Reasonable would be the first one. As a student of history, I studied history. I got my degree in. History is playing itself right here today in a microcosm way here in Rock Island. You heard before me here, all the persons in Mayor Tomes. I think we have 4 individuals who came up. I've spoken to hundreds, literally, in this community, in this city, hundreds. Not one person of color is in agreement for you to vote yes today. You heard several reasons why. The disrespect, the arrogance, a lot of different things, okay? So back to my word reasonable. I think this is very simple for you all here. This is a simple vote. This is probably the easiest vote you can make. Easiest no vote you can make. It should be a unanimous vote. The other word I have is arrogance. I used that word last time I spoke about this issue. Mayor Tomes, I would not come to your home and tell you the story of the Tomes family. Because I don't know the story of the Tomes family. You can tell me all day, then I might learn it, but it only would be as good as my listening skills would be to learn about your story and your family story. And then based off my skills and be able to learn and take it in, because I'm an outsider, you will be able to determine if I'm genuine and authentic in this example here. And this is nothing personal, this is an example. You follow me?
Yes.
And so, back to that word arrogance. The arrogance to believe that there's no need to discuss with the black community before, during, or after this process. You can see why I use that word. And in fact, a yes vote by any of you individuals here, to me, would be an arrogant vote. And while we would disagree on that, but maybe, I will remember. And that's not a threat. That's not anything of that sort. Because I'm not interested in threatening any of you. I've actually become kind of fond of you all in some respects. But I will tell you this, and this is from the bottom of my heart. And this has nothing to do with my past mayoral bid, has nothing to do with my current employment, has nothing to do with my current bid for state rep. It might, in fact, hurt it, but that's okay because I'm the type of person to do things because it's the right thing to do. Whoever votes yes, I will make it my duty to make sure everybody knows you voted yes. And I will make it my duty that we and they do everything possible to assure you do not be reelected. And I say that because we're coming to you very reasonably. We hope you hear us out. We are the ones that live here in this community. We're your residents. You're responsible to us as we are to you. Think about that, please, sincerely, when you go before the vote today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of the list. Is there anybody virtual? Not hear anyone. Okay. Thank you. Item number 7.
Minutes from the January 24th, 2022 study session and city council meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as printed.
Second. Second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker,
Aye.
Pulis,
Aye.
Healy,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Hurt,
Yes.
Gilbert. Aye. Swanson. Aye.
Item number 8.
Minutes from the January 24th, 2022 closed session.
Motion to approve the closed session minutes.
Second. Moved and second, any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker,
Aye.
Pulis,
Aye.
Healy. Robinson,
Aye.
Hurt,
Yes.
Gilbert. Aye. Swanson. Aye.
Item number 9, Rock Island update. Got a couple items here. Holiday garbage and recycling collection will be on the normal collection schedule during the week of President's Day holiday. City of Rock Island offices will be open on President's Day, Monday, February 21st, 2022, with the exception, though, of the Rock Island Public Library, which will be closed so the staff may attend an annual training. Rock Island Public Library to host Dr. Jane Simpson, Professor of History at Augustana College, for a free lecture on Standing on Her Ground, Native American Women and Land Claims in Eastern Iowa, on February 17th, 2022, at 5 p.m. at the downtown Rock Island Library. Dr. Simonson will share the story of Native American women who sought legal claim to their land. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center events that are happening. Free drop-in PCR COVID testing is available at the Martin Luther King Center on Monday and Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and on Thursday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. All are welcome. The MLK Center is hosting United Way's VITA, Tax Preparation Assistance Program through April 9th for qualifying individuals and families. No appointments are needed, but lines form quickly, so it's best to come early. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, it's from 5 to 8 p.m., and Saturdays from 9 to noon. The MLK Center is hosting the Putnam Museum's traveling exhibit on the history of civil rights in the Quad Cities. This exhibit will be on display in the MLK Center's lobby during regular hours of operation through the end of February. QCC Expo Center, the QCC Outdoor Show. This 4-day event starts Thursday, February 17th, 2022, through Sunday, February 20th, 2022, and features a variety of resources for anyone interested in the great outdoors. A large number of hunting, fishing, and boating vendors will be on hand, as well as representatives from charters, resorts, government agencies, and conservation clubs. Tommy Scarless, known as one of the most inspiring and dynamic outdoor professionals on the planet, will be this year's featured presenter and will provide multiple seminars on fishing secrets and tactics. A kids' camp area will also be available for an archery range, trout fishing pond, and minnow racing, and more. RV and Camping Show will be held Friday, February 25th through Sunday, February 27th, and will feature an enormous indoor showroom for the latest models of motorhomes, trailers, toy haulers, the fifth wheel, and other recreational vehicles. For ticket information for either of these events, you can visit www.qccaexpocenter.com. Thank you very much. Item number 10.
Mayor Tomes will close the regular meeting and open a public hearing on a request from Khalid Grewal Essentials Plus for a waiver of the signature requirement to secure a liquor license at 3015 18th Avenue.
Okay, I will close the regular session and open a public hearing. If anybody here on that, from that venue, they'd like to speak on the vape and alcohol, want to speak about it? No? Nope.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Noah Burkhardt. I am with Essentials Plus. We are asking that we get the signature required waived. We did stop by all the locations on the required and the majority list several times during different times of the day, morning, evening, night. We did this occurrence probably 3 to 4 different times, touched all the addresses on the list. Everybody we did talk to in person, they did sign. They sided with our concept. The houses that we did not get a response from, those are the houses we do not have a signature from. We did stop there several times, but no response from any of the residents at the addresses.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say?
Well, should I explain the reasoning behind why we would want the liquor license? Sure. Okay. So our main focus with the shop Essentials Plus is a high-end tobacco and smoke vaporizing shop. So it is a small location. It's only around 1,250 square feet. The primary focus would be high-end smoke and vaporizing products. We do request a liquor license to carry a small section of specialty beverages. We are trying to source products that are not quite in Illinois in the beverage market. There's several products that are available in bigger cities such as California, Florida. We are working directly with Fortune 500 manufacturing companies to get these products to the state of Illinois. So that is one reason for the liquor license.
Okay. That's fine. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak in favor of this? Anybody else want to speak in favor of this waiver? Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak against it? Seeing none, I assume nobody's virtual. Is anybody virtual? Hearing none. If that's all you have,
Yep, that should be good.
unless anybody's got any questions or?
So I guess I have a question. So you're going to have a small,
Yeah, we're going to have a small, maybe just a few cooler doors of some specialty beverages. Once we do get them in the state, of course. No hard liquor, any cheap bottles. Kind of just more specialty, high-end, maybe local breweries, some specialty mixed drinks, things along those lines. Don't plan on carrying any cheap liquor that could possibly cause harm to others, but more of just kind of these specialty, hard-to-find items that you may not be able to find anywhere else.
okay, so it's primarily a vape store.
Primarily vape. We're trying to get liquor into the location to kind of separate us from the others, kind of use it as a competitive advantage while introducing some new products onto the market.
Okay, and so this would be like the fifth vape store in about a 2-block radius.
Yeah, we are trying to differentiate ourselves from the other vape stores. A very common image, you drive by, a lot of flashing signs, LEDs, vape, CBD, kratom, things along those lines. Our concept is completely different. We carry only the high-end products. All of the products we carry for vaporizers are FDA and PMTA approved. We want the customers to have the safest and best experience. So that is the primary focus of the store. And we separate ourselves from others just by providing a higher quality of products that customers may not be able to find anywhere else.
So, I mean, just because I don't participate in that, what is the legal age limit for being able to purchase vape? Because, I mean, this is super close
Age
to
limit
junior
is
high.
21.
21?
Yep.
Is there on-site consumption of the vape products?
There is not any on-site consumption. It would be probably off-premises.
Right, and then the liquor license is just for retail, right?
Yep,
No
just for
on-site
retail,
consumption of
no
alcohol?
in-store consumption of liquor either.
Okay.
So as it pertains to the liquor license and the product that you're talking about here, is it packaged in certain amounts, like a 4-pack, 6-packs, solo, containers?
Yeah,
What
we
are
would
we looking at here?
probably, different varieties of maybe 4-packs, 6-packs. I think that maybe the highest quantity would be like a 12-pack.
But nothing single?
Maybe a few specialty singles. Probably not, though. Our main focus would be kind of more towards the bigger packs. As most of the specialty items, they kind of come in bigger quantities, I would say.
Okay, another question. As I'm reviewing this documentation here, and I don't know if this is for now or during other discussion, but I'm looking at all the owners of these properties, and I see like TR Holdings of Davenport. I mean, to me, that doesn't really mean anything. That doesn't tell me it's a resident or where it's located at. And then I'm looking at one that says Parwan Mini Mart is the owner of Bettendorf, Iowa. And I, now what are these places that we're referring to in these particular property owner letters here? I mean, that obviously clearly does
Yeah.
not state it's some place that you're getting their opinion in Rock Island.
Right.
Everything's Bettendorf and Davenport and Milan, and so who's owning all these?
Actually,
That's
that's the
for us.
surrounding properties, and that's the people
Yeah,
that
those
own
are the owners of the
properties.
surrounding
The
properties.
maps from the
Oh,
Community and Economic
I
Development.
understand,
Yeah.
but it doesn't detail what property. So you're saying is it a business property? Is it a residential property? What are we looking at here?
If it's not that address, it's an investment property that
Well, I
somebody owns.
understand that. I'm just curious, is it a business
I have
address?
no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's our attempt to try to get in communication with them, correct?
Not our not ours, it's his responsibility. What we do is when there's never been a liquor license someplace before, what we require is, there's kind of like two different zones. All the properties that are touching that property are mandatory to get those signatures. And then there's another one that are recommended to get. And we give them, through our CED department, we give them the list of those individual, the property owners, the names. And they then have to go, we give them a map, and it's their responsibility to contact those
You
individuals.
don't think that's responsibility to let the council know, like, what those address or those properties are? It's
Well, we
just like
could,
a-
I guess we'd have to look, because it doesn't,
Well, I mean, you guys are throwing this all out here, and it just says, okay, but who are we talking about here? You know, you're just saying, this is who we're contacting, but we don't know
City doesn't keep track of those either.
Oh, okay.
So my question about the letters, though,
Yes.
we produced the letters to give to them to send out?
No, what we,
You sent them?
we said, yeah,
Okay,
for
that's what I
tonight's
was
meeting.
asking,
For
correct.
tonight's meeting, yes.
Gotcha.
The letters that are on there. What we did is gave them a map, and then it's a list of the addresses.
Right.
They do all that.
Yeah,
If they-
we went door to door for the required list and the secondary list. We did knock on every single door 3 to 4 times, and sometimes people just did not respond at all. I don't know if it's because of COVID reasons or other reasons, but people were not answering the door several times when we went to knock.
Well, then what we do is when they don't have the signatures, we have to come out with this waiver, so what we have to give is 2 weeks' notice to all of those that are mandatory. That's for those letters that we mailed out,
Gotcha.
okay, to that mandatory ones that this hearing had taking place, is what we did.
And
If
is
there's
there-
ever a city-owned property that was one of those, it automatically has to come to city council if there's a city-owned property. Yes,
And
Bill.
the precedent is that we usually approve these waivers. historically speaking. I can't recall a single time that I've been on the city council that we have not approved a waiver. Save a lot when it was being converted into whatever it was. I mean, this issue was brought up then. You know, there's certainly precedence for it. I had a question. Do you have other locations?
Of Essentials Plus, we do not have any other locations. Within the company, there's a few like cell phone stores that are owned.
Okay.
I don't have any part of that. I'm just the purchasing manager for the company. But Essentials Plus does not have any current locations.
Okay,
It's a new concept.
no further questions? If not, I would like to close the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting and entertain a motion.
I would make a motion not to recommend waiver of the signatures.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Okay, is there any discussion?
I would,
And the reason for that, and if you allow me,
yeah.
we have a policy, and the fact that we've gone by that policy in the past doesn't make it right. We have a policy. If we're not going to have a policy, then let's change the ordinance.
Well, yeah, the policy, and it's designed because the location could be different, the type of business it could be is different, and so that's where it allows it, and it just happens to be that at this point, most of the others have been,
Well, and that
Acceptable.
borders between commercial and residential.
so.
And then we have, a school within 3 blocks. So,
Okay,
It's a little unfair to the business owner, though. I mean, because the majority of these letters are going to, like, companies. They're not even homeowners. So that's really unfair to the business owner to, if they're making the attempt to get the signatures and no one's answering the door, no one's there, and then even sending the letters, we probably don't even know if they responded to the letters because some of the places are in California, most are in Davenport. There's a very small few of these are even within the Rock Island city limits.
and that's the ordinance, we just following the ordinance that we currently have. If we want to change that, that we can obviously do that in the future, but that is the policy, we're following the policy that we have on the books.
With all due respect, Alderman Polis, I know this is in your ward, and I don't mean to encroach in your ward. I would just add to the conversation that if we are having a policy debate on vape shops or the existence of vape shops, that should be the discussion, not whether this business owner should be given a waiver for the same process that we have given nearly every other applicant that has come to us. I just think that that would be the most fair thing to do.
So just out of curiosity, I know we have a limit on like slot machine places. Do we have a limit on vape stores?
We do not. And once again, on the liquor side of it, the liquor license, the different types we have don't spell out whether it's high-end or not high-end and everything else. And so when they're talking about doing high-end, or anybody else is talking about limited to certain ways, in the future, they can do whatever allows them inside that liquor license that we whether it's an A license or a B license or a C license, depending on what they're applying for. There's not one specifically for high-end liquor. And so,
But we do have, I know one particular store that we allow you can only sell it in certain quantities, and
it's citywide. It's citywide, and what we did is we did there has to be a minimum of $5 purchase.
no, we didn't, we eliminated down in the district area. You cannot sell single
Four-pack.
can, you can sell 4, but you can't sell single. He just got done telling us that he may sell those. So that's not exactly
I
accurate.
can't remember down if that was a formal deal. I thought we changed it
No.
just to $5 and not by pack.
No, we changed that to
You could
the
be right.
amount
I
about, so
I
that's.
can't quote it, so that's fine. But I'm just saying is that there's no liquor license specifically for high-end. And so in theory, they or others can change that at will, and it still meets the liquor license.
So the debate is about the vape shop.
No,
This is really just about the liquor license.
correct. This is about, and it's strictly just about actually the waiver of the signatures.
For the liquor license.
For
because
the
that
liquor
goes to
license.
liquor
It's really,
commission.
yeah, that's exactly right. We have the ordinance that those signatures have to be there. If they don't get them, the ordinance reads that the city council it has to come before the city council, public hearing, and get a ruling on whether to waive the signatures or not. That's what this is.
And Mayor Tomes, this is Dave Morse, and I just wanted to interject a little. This is under 3.6 of the liquor licensing provisions, and it talks about at the completion of the hearing, the city council will consider a motion as to whether to make a recommendation to the liquor commissioner to consider granting the liquor license, and that the liquor commissioner will then take the matter under advisement and make a decision within 30 days. I wanted to make that clarification.
Okay?
Would you proceed with this without liquor?
That, I'm not too sure. Like I said, I'm just a product manager. Product ordering. I would have to ask more people in the company in order to get a decision for that.
Okay? Any other questions? Clarifications?
Clarification is that my motion is to recommend to the liquor commissioner that he not waive the signature requirement.
Yeah.
Just so that
It's fine.
my
We got
colleagues-
that? We've got a second? Yep. We are ready for roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
No.
Pulis.
Yes.
Healy.
Yes.
Robinson.
No.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 11.
Special ordinance regarding installation of a three-way stop sign at the intersection on 41st Streets at its intersection with 20th Avenue and 22nd Avenue, second reading.
Motion to pass the ordinance?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert. Aye. Swanson.
Aye.
Item number 12.
Special ordinance requesting removal of a handicap parking space located at 2203 16th Street, second reading.
Move to pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert. Aye. Swanson.
Aye.
Item 13.
Claims. A, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $16,295.74 to David G. Morrison, City Attorney, for services rendered during the month of January 2022. Report from the Public Works Department regarding payments number 1, 2, and final in the amount of $119,320.74 to Precision Pavement Markings, Inc. of Pingree Grove, Illinois, for the 2021 Pavement Marking Program, Project 2749. C, report from the Public Works Department regarding payments 3, 4, and 5 in the amount of $161,337.05 to Green Space Associates of Davenport, Iowa, for the 2021-2022 sod replacement program, Project 2141.
Motion to approve the claims A through C.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert. Aye. Swanson.
Aye.
D, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $66,252.33 to McClintock Trucking and Excavating of Silvis, Illinois, for the water service and sanitary lateral repair program, project numbers 2526 and 2564. E, report from the Public Works Department regarding number 4 and final payment in the amount of $230,733.60 to Layman Construction of Rock Island, Illinois, for the Black Hawk Hills Drive and River Heights reconstruction, project 2815. And F, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $17,738.42 to Valley Construction of Rock Island for an emergency water main repair on 3rd Avenue and 19th Street.
Motion to approve claim items D through F.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Due to the nature of my employment, I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Roll call, please.
Alderperson Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 14,
Claims for the week of January 14th, 2022 through January 20th, 2022 in the amount of $441,052.06. Week of January 22nd, 2022 through January 27th, 2022 in the amount of $739,414.45. The week of January 28th, 2022 through February 3rd, 2022 in the amount of $1,161,049.33. And payroll for the weeks of January 10th, 2022 through January 28th, 2022 in the amount of $1,548,716.63.
Motion to allow the claims and payroll.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 15,
Report from the Public Works Department regarding bids for the purchase of 160,000 paper yard waste bags for the 2022 leaf pickup program, recommending that all bids be rejected and the order be placed through Granger, Inc. of Lake Forest, Illinois, in the amount of $79,040.
Motion to approve the purchase as recommended.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 16,
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a contract be awarded to CDM Smith, Inc. of Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $175,985 for maintenance repair on the storage domes at the water treatment plant.
Move to approve the contract and authorize the interim city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 17,
Report from the Human Resources Department regarding a one-year contract extension for Labor Council Legal Services with Pappas and O'Connor of Rock Island, Illinois.
Move to approve the one-year contract extension as recommended and authorize the interim city manager to execute the contract.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 18,
Report from the Public Works Department regarding an amendment to the motor fuel tax resolution with Illinois Department of Transportation appropriating $794,127.30 of motor fuel tax funds for street maintenance in 2021.
Move to adopt the resolution as recommended.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call. Oh, did you say-
Is that,
Yep.
is that written correctly in 2021, or is that a,
Nope, 2021. Paying bills from last year.
going back? Okay, all right, all right.
We had to spend the money.
Okay, I just thought I misread it.
Time machine, let's go back. All right, roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 19,
Report from the Public Works Department regarding items be declared as surplus and that permission be given to dispose of surplus items in a manner that would be advantageous to the city.
Move to approve the request as recommended.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item number 20,
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a request to declare the Black Hawk statue at Water Tower Plaza surplus property and that it be donated to Black Hawk Bank and Trust.
Motion to approve the request as recommended with the requirement Black Hawk Bank and Trust to install a plaque acknowledging the City of Rock Island's donation.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? By the way, Jim Hughescamp, I believe, is online if anybody's got a question of the bank.
Miles, has this been ran past the city's Preservation Commission?
No, because it is not a locally designated landmark.
Understood.
There's a few images.
Might be of interest, but understood.
I wish they were putting it in Rock Island, but I get it.
No space, and they're doing it, I don't know if you saw, go ahead, Jim.
I offered my house.
No, if that was a question to me, I'm happy to answer it. It's we've obviously been redeveloping that little corridor there in Milan, and with the, hopefully you've seen the pictures and so forth. It is something that we would certainly honor and care for hopefully at least another 50 years going forward.
Yes, I think it was a bit of a facetious statement, not to read into his mind, but yes, thank you, Jim, I appreciate that, and it does, you look at the pictures and it does represent it well.
Good, thank you, Mike.
Thank you. All right, roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 21.
Report from the Finance Department regarding a budget adjustment for the Community and Economic Development Department to increase revenues and expenditures by $127,878.03 in the Community Economic Development Fund 207 for the Homestead Rehabilitation Program.
Move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 22.
Report from the Finance Department regarding a budget adjustment for the Community and Economic Development Department in the amount of $422,436.12 related to HUD CDBG funds.
Motion to approve the budget adjustment is recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussions? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson. Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 23.
Report from the Finance Department regarding a budget adjustment for the Parks Department, increasing the Parks Department revenue by $75,000 and expenses by $1,328,249.78, Parks Fund 555 for the Highland Springs Clubhouse.
Move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 24.
Report from the Finance Department regarding a budget adjustment for the Library Fund 251 in the amount of $44,705.38 for a comprehensive audio-video project at the new Watts Midtown Library.
Move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt. Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Item 25.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the National Park Service African American Heritage Grant.
Move to approve option 1 as indicated in the memo.
There a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion?
I would.
Yeah.
Number one, I came in tonight prepared to vote to turn it down. And the reason being is there are several folks in our community that did not want it. The problem I have is when I have those same individuals that I was prepared to support come in and virtually threaten anybody that is up for reelection that if you don't do this, we're going to turn the city against you. I thought that was inappropriate, and it is. It was no more arrogant than what the claims were against Mr. Pearson and Natalie. I found it very disrespectful. I'm very upset about it. Morally, I think that it should be turned down. I just have a real hard problem having someone come in and saying, you know, if you don't do this, then we're going to turn the city against you. Rather than, and because nobody bothered calling me, saying, Alderman, would you consider this? You know, this is our feelings. I did have a contact with Alderperson Robinson. We had a short conversation. I asked his opinion because it primarily affects his ward. But I got news for everybody. The 20 people that are on that coalition are saying that they represent 7,500 people. If you go by the figures on our website, 7,500 people of color. Now, we had one of our members of the coalition said that they interviewed hundreds of people. We have 10 people.
I want to say something.
Unfortunately, at this point, that's not the time.
So, I mean, being disrespected in that manner bothers me greatly.
So this is my take on this. You may feel how we feel as a community. You know, again, I got emails all week about, well, there's only 15 people on the roster for the coalition. Thurgood said it best. This is another repeat of history. In the 70s and the 80s, you know, you had individuals from that, from the first ward got together and they developed community neighborhood plans. When you look at the records, there's only 15 people, maybe 10 on the roster. What you're not understanding is that those 10 individuals, those 15 individuals, they are granted the ability to speak for everyone. They're called stakeholders for a reason. At no time are you going to get 7,000 people in one place to make a decision. We can barely get that in elections. So there's a way that we do that by getting the nod from everyone. We reach out to everyone. The individuals that are sitting there, their task was to go out and talk to other people and get the feedback and then report back. So you may only see 10 there, but they're really representing over 1,000. That's how it works.
I understand
Hold on. But when we worry about what happened at a podium versus the optics that this grant is authorizing, that's a big problem. And if that's what we're focusing on, we're so far off base right now. No. I'm not done. I'm not done. We're so far off base. If that's what we're focusing on. For you to make the statement that you came in with the thought to turn it down, but then after the comments, you felt different after that, that is an issue for me. Because still, after everything that you heard, after everything you've seen, you still don't get it. This council doesn't get it. The city doesn't get it. There has to be change where we're tired of individuals from afar making decisions for a community without including them. And no matter what excuse they give, it doesn't erase the fact that communication was not had. We've been saying that for a while. Let me get my points out. We've been saying that for a while. We have to get rid of the fact that we have to make decisions without communicating with people. I love the fact of the West End assessment because it dismisses a lot of that. You get involvement from the community, you're getting the feedback, there's a cohesive working environment. And then we turn right around during that same period and we do the complete opposite, only because we're chasing dollars instead of worrying about how that affects individuals. We're chasing dollars, $33,000. We can do that work ourselves. We can do the collection ourselves. We can find other ways to doing it. If you were impressed with that presentation today and you are willing to move forward with this, again, we are in two different spaces because I've heard two different things from that presentation. It was nothing that's submitted in the grant to the National Park Service. So right there, they're already falsifying their grant documentation. And if we're willing to move forward with that, understand the backlash, not only from the residents, because that's their right. They vote for us to make their decisions based on their opinions. But if we choose to ignore that, why are we sitting up here?
Well, I'm going to respond to that because I'm glad you said that. Because I have people of color in my ward, believe it or not. And I have reached out and talked to them, believe it or not. And the response that I got is, who's going to tell our story? How come nobody has contacted me? I'm supposed to be represented by them. And yet you're the one knocking on my door asking me what my thoughts are.
Mark, you're answering your own question. That is the whole problem. There are a black community, there are black residents in your ward had no idea about this grant, but we're ready to move forward on it. We don't understand that there's a problem with that.
I do
It's
understand.
nothing to do with the group that's sitting here tonight. It's the whole fact of within the city of Rock Island. We continue to make decisions with not including people of color.
This grant identifies locations. It does not identify the story.
So why are they defending it so bad that we're going to go talk to individuals? We're going to do these assignments where we're going to hire actors to actually impersonate the people who were then and during that time frame. See, that's what I mean. There's cloud over this whole project, which makes it even that much easier to make the decision to turn it back and start from scratch. That's what we've been saying from day one. It's not the fact that we don't want the work being done. We want it done clearly, where there's a clear definition of what's going to be done. I'm more confused today from hearing that presentation today than any other time. Because from what we heard tonight, he's going to get rewarded the grant, and then he's going to throw in his project, what has nothing to do with what was written to the National Park Service.
But the grant is not for the story. The grant is for the location.
That's what they put in their documentation. It's for the stories, because it's in their budget line.
Okay, I want to interject. Miles, can you come to the podium, please?
Just the fact that there's confusion like that should make it that much easier to just send this grant back.
So this grant is literally only for identifying historical sites and putting them on the historic register, period. That is all the grant is, correct?
So I'm gonna answer your question with a question. All the council members have received a copy of what was submitted to the Park Service, right? Everyone has that, okay. So what you see described in it is what it is, all right? It's nothing beyond it, but that's what it is. Those things in that budget, that's what it is. The objectives of the project, you've seen the document, that's what was submitted, that's what the National Park Service approved. Just that. That's what the $33,500 is to pay for. The project as submitted in those documents. It's nothing beyond that. It's just that. So,
And then secondly, the grant is not the city's grant. It was not our grant to award. It is the National Park Service's grant that was submitted to them. They vetted their grant process, and they were the ones who selected a recipient of their grant funding, not the city, correct?
Pearson Consulting and Media Link asked the city to submit the application. It had to be submitted by the city to the Park Service. So the city was provided with the content of the application. It was put into the online app and submitted. The Park Service reviewed that project as described in that application you've all seen, approved that, and awarded the grant to the city. If the council wants to move forward with MediaLink and Pearson Consulting doing the project as described in that application, you have to approve a subrecipient agreement to pass through the funds to them. The Park Service has confirmed, as the memo given to you tonight explains, that you can do that. You can go back out to bid if you wish to continue with the project, but with someone else. Or you can give it back and not proceed at all. It's the city's grant. The one thing we can't do, though, is deviate from the specifics of what that application actually says. The application as has been provided to you. It's nothing more than that. So it's in your hands to decide which of those three options spelled out in the memo you do, because it's the city's grant.
No, it's not. It's the National Park Service grant.
No, the city has received the grant from the Park Service.
So basically what the city is being asked to do is literally endorse a check, period.
Not sure what you mean by endorse it.
So it's not.
That's not how it is financially. We are financially responsible for that grant. What we are planning on doing is doing a pass-through to give it to another contractor. That's the city's.
It's not
the
to
city
give
is
it
on the
to
hook.
another contractor. It's to give it to the contractor that submitted the grant. That's the
Which
problem.
is the city. The city
No.
submitted the grant.
And in the
The
grant
city submitted
in
the
the
grant.
grant document.
If you look at the grant
I'm sorry,
documentation,
I am
it was
talking.
executed. It was
May I
executed
finish?
to the city of
May
Rock Island.
Calm down.
I
Yeah, I will.
finish?
I'll let you finish.
No, but
It was
you
submitted to
but
the
you
city of Rock
interrupt-
Island.
you
That is a
interrupt-
city of Rock Island grant.
Hang on, hey, come on, please, one at a time. Everybody's going to get a chance.
Alderwoman Swanson should finish. I'm not trying to get referee here, but it's no different than Alderman Poulos and you, so everybody
It's
should
no
get their
different
turn.
than being threatened. So what I'm going to say right now is in that grant document, it states the contractors are Pearson Consulting and MediaLink QC Passport. So it is not up to the city to decide if another contractor gets it, because that is specifically stated in the grant. What I'm trying to get to is the grant it's not our grant. It was not us to award, it was not for us to choose. It's the National Park Service grant. It was sent to them. They vetted it, they awarded it, it is their money that they sent to the city to literally have the check be endorsed to the contractors listed in the grant. That's what I'm trying to get to, is just the main facts. Take the personalities, take the emotion, take everything out of it, just the facts. That's what I'm trying to get to.
But the facts are, and I think you have to get your knowledge up to speed with how grants work.
I
When
have
you-
been in the nonprofit
When you
industry for
submit,
20.
so you should know this. When you submit a grant to any organization or anyone who awards you the grant, it's rewarded to an individual or to an organization. For us, it's awarded to the city of Rock Island. The city of Rock Island had a deal with Media Links and Charles & Pearson LLC to have a pass-through. That's why it has to come to us. If it wasn't ours, we wouldn't have to make a decision on it.
Was their name on the application as a contractor?
They were
Yes or no?
included in the narrative of the application, but I want to clarify something because it's an important point. Subsequent to receiving the grant, city staff was asked specifically to contact the Park Service and ask them what our options are. The options that you see are the options that the Park Service itself spelled out to us. So the Park Service has clarified that if the city council wished to do so, you could go back out to bid and select someone else.
But
So
then
I want to clarify that MediaLink and Pearson Consulting are included in that application, specifically by name. No one, I think, will dispute that. But the Park Service, subsequent to awarding it, did clarify that the council has discretion to choose from the three options you see in that memo. So I want to be clear about what the Park Service has said.
So if we opted to go out to bid for somebody else, since it's not our grant, it's a National Park Service grant, do they not have to go back and review a new grant application to approve it?
The Park Service clarified that as long as the scope of work is exactly the same, you can go out to bid and change who the consultant is. That would be the only thing that changed, is the name. And that's kind of part of the discussion tonight, right? It's about the process. The Park Service says you can go with who you originally proposed, you can go out to bid and get someone else, or you can give it back. But what you can't do is change the nature of the actual scope of work.
But that's what, this has been done.
I have
This is completely different than
What was
we
printed?
got, than the grant originally. This isn't even playing the same game.
And he told you, he told you what he was going to do.
That was the national park deal that he's working on there.
I understand. Then why do we have this?
Agree.
I mean, his
Just wanted
focus is
to-
black line
And I'm not
along the
defending him.
Mississippi River.
I'm not defending him, but he just wanted to give a scope of what things he's working on versus that specifically is what that's for.
But he
What I
said this is
heard,
what
I'm
he
sorry,
wanted to do.
Alderman Healy, what I heard in his presentation is that when we award them the grant, he's going to execute
Yes.
that project.
That is what I
That's
heard
what
as
he
well.
said.
I didn't hear that either. I have a question, Miles. Who wrote the grant? Was it Pearson Consulting and QC Passport Media Link?
The content of the actual application was submitted to staff in large part. I mean, obviously, there's like details of names and stuff that were added in, but basically, we copied and pasted into the application and submitted it because a city government had to submit it.
May I make a recommendation, friends? Me personally, I came here prepared to explore option 2. However, after consulting with staff and learning that the entire scope of the project had to be the same, like my questioning during the study session, I don't know. May I be so brave to say I don't think there's a lot of objection to doing sort of the more bureaucratic process of identifying and adding city-owned properties to the National Register. However, we get into a very complicated area with respect to telling narratives and storytelling and publicizing the stories as demonstrated by the members of the public here tonight. Therefore, originally I was hoping that maybe we could split these in two because, again, I live in a historic district. I was a big fan of getting the downtown added to the National Register District. We hire consultants to do that stuff all the time. However, the scope of the project has to stay the same. What I am prepared to vote for is option 3, to return the grant. However, I do not entirely like the way in which option 3 is worded, because it says we're going to return the grant and the project will stop. I don't think that that's an appropriate way to summarize how any of us feel about this. I think all of us in this room want to do the good work of telling the story of Black Rock Islanders and Black Americans. To that end, however, as you all have heard me say many, many times, we often put the cart before the horse as a city. And in fact, this whole thing started because instead of us sitting back and thinking about and planning a holistic scope of what are we going to do here, because of our short staffing and our under-resourced, we had 2 individuals who I believe acted in good intent, came to us and said, hey, this is a good thing, let's work on it. And city staff, again, with their lack of resources, said, sure, you're coming here, let's run with it. However, in retrospect, that did not work out so well. So you all have heard me say many times, I've always advocated that we keep $100,000 from our hotel motel tax for tourism, right? And one of those things I've always said that we should use that money is developing a heritage resource tourism plan. It's identified in our heritage resource plan from 2015 as a thing that we should be doing. And in going through the process of developing a holistic plan, we work out these things, like who's the steering committee part of this, right? Who's going to own the project? Who's going to do this? I mean, we work through those things. I think we tried to do something here before thinking through the very complicated nature of this work. And as such, I would ask my colleagues to consider, I know it sucks, we want to do work like this. And I do not advocate for option 3 as an insult to the partners like Pearson and Natalie and Linda and the members of the community that were involved in this. However, just like in my own personal life, just because I feel some pressure to do something doesn't mean that it's necessarily the right time to do something. And so I would say that we simply return the grant and really move on the recommendation to develop a heritage resource tourism plan. Put together a steering committee that will represent the very many different populations of Rock Island and can explore not only the Black history and how are we going to properly document and tell the story of Black Rock Islanders, but also the very many other people and histories that make up Rock Island. That would be my recommendation. I hope that you take it under consideration.
Hang on real quick. We have a motion in a second on the other way,
I
so
know.
we'd have to finish that. But I think Judith wanted to say something.
So I feel like there's been a lot of confusion and misinformation. So Randy Tweet, our former city manager, he had already met with Charles and Natalie to discuss collaborating on something related to Charles's project, Black Life on the Mississippi. But then the National Park Service grant opportunity came up. Charles, with Natalie, brought it to the city, met with Randy and CED staff to discuss the grant. Randy considered the opportunity. Everyone was in favor of it. And the city agreed to submit the grant that Charles and Natalie would write, and because only the city could submit it. So in my opinion, Randy, our city manager, entered into a verbal and moral agreement at that time, and Charles and Natalie had every expectation that if by some chance the National Park Service awarded the grant to the city, that Pearson Consulting and MediaLink would be the subrecipients of the grant and would do the work of the grant, with Charles identifying and researching the 10 city-owned properties for nomination to the National Register, and Natalie would create the Wayfaring Heritage Tourism Package for those 10 sites, as she's already doing for another 10 sites as another city contract. So in my opinion, when the National Park Service awarded the grant, we had a moral and legal obligation to enter into that subrecipient contract with Pearson Consulting and MediaLink, which should have been done back in October. Now, there is a member of the coalition who stated on the Zoom meeting twice that she was aware of the grant opportunity. No one else came to the city with this grant opportunity and said, let's apply for it, but Natalie and Charles did. And with regards to your Heritage Tourism Plan proposal, Alderman Parker, so like I said, Natalie has already created a wayfaring system for our heritage tourism, and she's doing it with other communities as well. But the coalition has gone on record saying they will not work with her. That puts us at another stalemate.
Correct. Okay. Is anybody else, Mark, did you want to say something again?
No, the thing is, clearly we have a disconnect here among my colleagues about what we believe should happen. Alderperson Gilbert makes a very good point that we had an agreement, and unfortunately, council, I don't think, was fully aware of some of the other inputs that we would receive in following that initial agreement. We thought, hey, this is great. We're going to get these spots in the National Registry, and then we can go from there to tell the story. Option 2 is attractive. I don't know if it would be accepted because we already have two different forces out here that says we won't work with each other. Well, we have one, because during that same Zoom call, Natalie did make the comment that once we get this locked in, then yes, we plan on bringing everybody into the discussion. The coalition said, no, we're not going to work with you. We want people from Augustana to do it without identifying those individuals from Augustana, which would have helped, because then they could have come in and talked to council saying, yes, we are interested in this, yes, we will work with the coalition or Natalie or whomever. Now, the members of the coalition are very intelligent, in my opinion, very emotional, just as those of us sitting at this table are. So, option 1 doesn't look like it's going to fly.
Oh, you don't know?
Don't know. Option 3 probably wouldn't fly.
But option 1's on the table right now, so.
Yeah. Option 2 has got some legs. Whether it'll walk, I don't know.
Okay.
I need to make a comment. So I was one of the individuals actually on this call that apparently, I don't understand how people on this council has so much insight and they were not even on the call. It's easy to go back after the fact and state things. I was on the call. I heard it throughout, my own ears. It was not inviting. It was not receptive at all. It was pretty much condescending, asking, well, who are you? Why do we have to work with them? There's only 15 of them. Are you going to stop a grant because of 15 individuals? Those are the type of statements that are made. But to you guys, they're telling you, oh, no, we're not going to work with them, not understanding the entire context. So like I stated before, I was on an initial call, and the call was very simple. It was very polite. It was established just to try to bridge the communication that wasn't afforded to us in the beginning. So myself, Shelley Moore Guy, and Tiffany Harris, I'm sorry, is it Harris? Stoner, sorry. We initiated the call with Media Link and Charles Pearson to try to get an understanding of what this grant entailed. We were met with resistance at that moment. So another meeting was established with bringing in more people because they started naming people. Well, we talked to this person, we talked to that person. The very first thing we kept hearing was that we didn't have time. It was just, we had 2 days in January to get it out, but now I don't heard in the presentation, they had a whole meeting, we had people involved. So was it not enough time, or were just not enough people invited to the meeting initially, like we've been stating from the beginning? So we can have all these discussions without really understanding the true fact. It was never an intention to bring this to us until they needed the stories for the narrative. We were never part of the discussion, even though in the grant, and this is, I'm quoting this from the grant, African American community to have a say in the process, but also take ownership of the process and in the significance of Rock Island African Americans that live in the community and serve the community. You state that in the grant, but then when you're questioned and asked from that same cohort that you stated in the grant, you turn on them. And you tell other people, why do I have to work with them? It was a mention that they didn't know Shelley Moore Guy, even though he presented it in his documentation. Ms. Natalie submitted in her documentation for the initial Media Links presentation, but they didn't know Shelley. They didn't know me, even though I introduced myself as an alderman. Because if you remember, when I was first elected in the very June 14th study session, when she presented that idea that we voted on, I asked this specific question: where is my history? Where's the black history? I got an email from her. I didn't hear anything about this grant that was already submitted to the National Park Service. No word of it at all. So wouldn't you think, if you have this grand idea, you have an African-American city leader asking you a question about your black history, wouldn't you mention that to them? No word of it at all. I didn't find out until Shelley Moore Guy called me when the grant was awarded to the city of Rock Island. And just to clarify, I'm looking at the grant application, the contract from the National Park Service. The grantee name and address, City of Rock Island. It does not mention Media Links. It does not mention Charles Pearson. We are the grantee of this grant. It was awarded to the city of Rock Island. Now, if you want to dismiss an entire community because we are on our feelings, we don't understand, that is an issue.
Correct.
I'm giving you the facts.
Okay.
There was no intention. And even, like I said, it's easy to say after the fact. We were going to bring you in. We were going to talk to you. Even though you had numerous times to have a discussion with someone. Like it was stated before, we know when to contact the pastors when we need a vote. We know when to contact the black individuals when we need a vote. But when there's something like this, we use an excuse. I don't know how to get in touch with anybody. Who do we talk to? So we formed this coalition so that problem wouldn't come up again. But again, it's being criticized because they have stood up and fought for what they feel is right, their heritage, our history. But it's being questioned in this room tonight. That's a problem.
The fact that they're standing up is not being questioned.
I don't think it is either. Okay.
I do. I know you guys don't feel that way, but that's my feeling.
I think we all have the end result, want the end result, is how we get there and who gets there with it. All right, I think we've had a lot of discussion on this, and it's time to call the vote. And
Well,
just,
I have one more
yes.
thing to say.
Okay.
So I am very frustrated over the whole thing because I kind of view the situation the city's being put in as a no-win situation. I mean, in all honesty, the African-American history needs to be told. It needs to be not hidden. It needs to be shared. It needs to be told. I mean, to me, that is vital. That is ultimately what has to happen, whether it's through this grant or whether it's through something else. I don't think Rock Islanders want to be known as a community that does not celebrate their African-American community, that does not want that history to be told. It is a part of our history, and it needs to be shared, and it needs to not be kept silent. Because as Rock Islanders, we are inclusive of everybody. And for me, the frustrating part is if we go ahead and award the funds, they're already been awarded, if we pass through the funds, then I feel there is not going to be cooperation. And this is not going to come to fruition. It's going to be a mess. I feel that if we give the funds back, that it will be a black mark. I've been in nonprofits for 20 years. I 100% understand grants. I 100% understand accepting them and giving them back. I really feel if we give this back, it will be a black mark on us, but again, it shuts what the intent is down. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't know what the answer is. I mean, to give it to award a second contractor, you just change the name on it. The same grant has to move forward. So I just feel like it's just, there is no right answer. I have flip-flopped on my response and how I'm going to vote so many times in the past week, so many times. I mean, I talked this morning with Alderman Healy, and I said, so at 9:47, this is my vote, but there's still a whole lot of hours left in the day. I mean, it has been agonizingly painful for me to come up with a decision and how to vote. And like I said before, I wanted to narrow it down to the facts and take the emotion out of it, because I understand both parts. And that's why I feel it's a lose situation. I mean, it's a great project. It's something great that really has to happen. But in its present form, I really feel like it's not going to happen.
Moses, is it your understanding that the coalition will reapply for a grant for this?
No, that's not the decision they have made.
Okay.
I understand.
We had a conversation, I talked with you. I just hate giving money back.
Right.
And I don't like this.
And
I will say I do not like this.
And the only reason I say that is because of the facts that came from the National Park Service. Even if we recontract it out, it has to stay in the same form. Okay. So we don't even know what that form really is after this presentation today.
I
so
agree.
that's why I'm saying I think it's easier for us to turn the money back in, start from scratch, get everyone at the table so we can figure out. I know lines have been drawn. People have said they're not going to work with each other, but time heals wounds. You know, there's definitely a time where we can come back together as a whole group and get this project done. In this current form, it may not happen, just because of how things have been presented.
And
you know,
we have $100,000 budgeted for this very thing. We don't necessarily, I mean, yeah, grant money is great, but we have money budgeted for this type of work.
But will we get it on the
But-
National Registry?
No, I want some clarification.
Yeah.
We have $100,000 budgeted for heritage tourism?
Well, for
No.
tourism. For
No,
tourism.
okay.
Sure. I mean, I'm not even saying that we have to use all 100,000.
But we're giving 75,000 of that to the Visit Quad Cities.
Separate thing. Hotel motel tax pays for Visit Quad Cities, and a separate chunk goes for tourism.
I just want the council to understand the frustration. I mean, you imagine me being in this seat and I have to hear, and we've all said this, we continue to hear information from our community first before we hear it in council chambers or from our city departments. This is a perfect example of the outcome of that. This is why we have to change that course of action. We have to stop making decisions with not including and having the communication channel open. Because if we would communicate this, if there was a checklist or if there was some kind of documentation who requested, hey, did you talk to the stakeholders? Case in point, the West End assessment. Have you had a discussion with the stakeholders? How do they feel in this? Even though everyone may not agree, but you can check off a box and state that you had a communication with someone. We didn't even do that. But we're moving forward and recording their history, our history. And you're not part of that discussion. I think that's what everyone is missing. Maybe it's just me because it's African American history. We're having a discussion to document, even if it's locations. You still need stories of African American history, but you're not inviting them to the table to have the discussion how it's going to get done.
Okay, I think that we've talked a lot. Everybody knows where they feel, where they stand, and how they feel. And I think it's time to call for a vote.
I'd like to speak.
Okay,
And in all honesty, we've spent this much time on this.
All right.
We should it's an important issue, and everyone well, we're already going to be here till who knows when, so what's another 2 minutes? So I empathize with your statement there, Alderman Robinson. And in the same token, you're frustrated. I can tell you, every one of these council people up here is just as frustrated as you are about what's happening on this end. And Alderperson Swanson and Poulos and, several of us, we've had so many discussions in the last couple days about this, and I would agree. It's been a back and forth issue, and I think this got put in our lap, and we're in a no-win situation here. It's not good. And it's obvious two sides aren't getting along. It's not, for whatever reason. I mean, this could go on for, hours talking about he said, she said, and whatever. But I feel that, from my own, and you have to listen to the citizens. However, I will make one little comment regarding that. I didn't like the tone of the threatening nature of some of the public comments. I'm just going to give my own opinion on that, but I'm trying to put that aside from where I'm going. However, you still have to listen. I think the process has been totally flawed, in my opinion, and I'm just ready just to give it back and start.
I wish everybody could work together. It wouldn't be an issue.
Mr. Pearson even said it in a quote. It was in the paper.
This isn't a place.
I don't even care about the grant that much anymore. That is a legitimate quote from Mr. Pearson. That is unacceptable. That is not, it's written, it's documented. That's not good business. And
I have a
that's
question.
This is all over $33,000.
Okay. Judith, a question, and we do have to
I
continue
know,
to move on.
but I have a question. It's a compromise. So, can we approve the pass-through, but then take, in conjunction with that, make a motion to take the $100,000 for a heritage tourism and identify people to be on the committee to develop an African-American heritage tourism, as Mr. Pearson pointed out, trail, district, museum?
Yeah, sure, we could do that. My only concern is, I think that if we are going to go down the route of taking a step back, coming up with a holistic plan, really thinking through who should be at the table, who are we going to ask, and at the same time, we also shouldn't move forward with this project. I think this has gotten really complicated. Let's just not necessarily start over, but we have a real opportunity here to take something that has become very controversial and contentious and say, you know what, we are going to commit ourselves to Black history, to historic preservation, to whatever we want to call it here, and we're going to move forward. We're not just giving the money back, because that indicates that we're just done. Nobody's going to tell the story of Black Rock Island. However, we did not do this the right way. I remember having conversations with Tweet, and I apologize for my part in allowing it to get to this part, to this place. But I think that, what I would recommend is that we simply return the budget, the grant at this time, but at the same time, pursue a holistic plan for how we're going to address history in Rock Island.
So if I may interject.
Please do.
You have 3 minutes.
A couple of things I'd just like to point out. The word process was put forward. That process was not good from the beginning. And I think that that's something that staff needs to give some serious thought to. At this point in time, we don't have a process for evaluating requests like the one we received at the beginning of this conversation. If an organization comes to us and asks for us to submit a grant on their behalf, at this point in time, there's no set of steps we take. There's no review that we really do. In the past, when we've done those sorts of things, it hasn't been particularly controversial or brought up a lot of conversation. It's probably something that we need to work on developing, though. There needs to be some sort of review process so that when staff receive a request like this, we are able to take steps to make sure that that is a wise thing to do and would be in the service of the greater community and every part of the community. I think developing a process like that would help stop this kind of thing from happening in the future and make sure that citizens are fully involved if a request like that does come up that will impact them or does involve them. Second thing I want to say is, in regards to that third option of giving a grant back, it is not something anyone ever wants to do, regardless of what the grant is for, right? It doesn't do you a service in the future if you are applying for something. However, I think that if we are going to return the grant, if that's the decision that is made here by the council, it can be returned with a pretty robust explanation of a vigorous conversation that the community had about why that wasn't the right thing to do. And I think that, Alderman Robinson, you would agree, we can put a narrative together to explain very well why that was not something the community ultimately decided to proceed with. I think in terms of future steps that we could take to try and do better, we could talk about that with the Park Service, and maybe at some future time, maybe not next year, but the year after that, a more robust project that had, prior to submission, involved quite a bit of community engagement, talk to the people who needed to be talked to. That could be something we submit. And the Park Service, they have an elephant's memory about these kind of things. They will go back and see what they have given to us, what we've given back, and they will do a comparison of that if we were to come up with a project of that kind. I think that would be a strong path forward. So I don't want anyone to think that it's all or nothing if you give it back. There might be ways forward that would be very good for us, not only in terms of moving forward on heritage tourism or economic development, but also on some internal community development work that I think is pretty clearly something we need to work on.
Miles,
So.
when does the grant have to be completed?
So the project for which the grant was awarded needs to be completed within a 2-year window. I can't remember the exact date. I want to say January of '24. If any of you have it in front of you, it's in there.
It says 9/30/2023.
23, okay, perfect. Thanks for keeping me honest.
9/30/2023?
Yes, it was awarded on 9/30/2021.
There you go, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and second in front of it. Did you have something else?
Well, I was just going to offer another compromise. Can we not take any action and try to bring all the parties together again and see if we can work something out so we don't return this grant?
At this time, my recommendation to the council is to make a decision now. These conversations have been going on, as has been discussed, for several months now. And I think it would be wise to not postpone this decision any longer and just choose a path forward.
Whether it's fair or not, I'm
Hunting
hearing.
for another day.
No, hang on, from what I'm seeing, and I do a verbal, Natalie's shaking, yes, she's willing to have that discussion. I don't know about the coalition.
No, wait. Can we speak, or we just?
Well, actually, typically not, and if we get to speak, then both sides get a chance to speak.
I don't have.
She nodded, so yes.
You acknowledge or not?
Can we call the question, Mayor?
Yes.
I just have a question. If we can speak, I'll answer, but I'm not going to sign
All right,
language.
all right. Well, I know it's getting late and everything else. We've got to keep it real limited of time. I'll give you a chance to speak and Natalie a chance to speak for a short period of time, please. So whoever's going to speak, but we're not going to open up to everybody.
All right. I'm not really sure what was said that I said that was threatening. I think I laid out just facts and the way we felt about what was happening with this grant. It is apparent that this has not been done correctly. It's not a matter of working with Natalie, because see, that seems to be the main objective, whether they can keep their positions on this grant. We're saying the same thing I think that Mr. Parker is saying. We need to plan this first. And yes, I didn't identify the professionals that are at Augustana because They didn't want to be identified until this is settled. A lot of times people don't want to be included in a lot of, mess that's going on. However, I've been working with the Putnam Museum, and I know you're a board member, Mr. Mayor Tomes. We're doing oral histories in Davenport. We document them because of our organization. And Christine Costello from the Putnam said that she'd work with us. So we do have buy-in. I've talked with Monica Smith from Augustana because I know her personally. I said I would need to know if some of the professors that I identified as being there would work with us. We're simply saying that I don't care how this came about. Mr. Pearson, what qualifications does he have? I don't know what the National Park says, how they vetted him. He doesn't seem to be the most qualified. I know in the school district, that's what their policy says. They hire the most qualified. This guy doesn't seem to have the most qualifications. How are we overlooking people with PhDs in history that are black and going with Mr. Pearson?
Can I ask a
Yes.
yes or no question?
Yes.
Would you be willing to work with Mr. Pearson and Natalie?
No.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's a yes or no, that's fine.
That's no.
I'm not, Natalie, would you like to say something? Then please keep it, in fairness, to get her a chance.
No, I understand.
I want to thank all of you. This has been a really hard road. Personally, this has taken its toll, a tremendous toll, on me professionally, personally, as well as my company and my staff. We've spent tremendous hours answering this and trying to weave a way through this. QC Passport is founded on making sure that we can tell everyone's story from every background and from every culture. And we've been doing that with the different pieces that we have. With Mr. Pearson, he's got a long history of what he's been doing as far as tourism and trails. There's just a very long list of qualifications that make him actually the best person to do this because of his particular because of what he's done to be able to propel Black history throughout the Midwest, not just in this area, but throughout the Midwest. I wanted to say, I feel like this grant that we applied for, like you said, Judith, in good faith with the city of Rock Island, we went through all of the hoops and all of the qualifications that we were told needed to happen. And now I feel like we're being penalized because there were some hidden rules that we weren't aware of. And I do agree this process needs to change going forward, but it doesn't do us any good to penalize us for something that wasn't there at the time that we applied for it. And I need to make that real clear. I have been very straightforward and very open with all of these folks. We are definitely wanting to work with everyone from this community, and we're very open to that. All we had said is that we haven't received the signatures for the sub-recipient agreement, so our work can't start until that point. But we've talked at length about how we were going to proceed and how inclusive this is going to be going forward with everybody that's involved and with everything that we're already doing on other destinations throughout the Quad Cities. You guys have mentioned the list of different partners that we have, and they are the Putnam Museum, they are the German American Heritage Center, they are the Sawmill Museum. There are 27 different partners that we have involved, and we work with all of them, and they are the editors on the stories. They are the ones who look through all of this. All I've done my entire life is collaboration. I never go out and just do something on my own. There's a whole team of people, that we work with. Linda Anderson has been with me for the last year, She is on so many different historical societies. She's so well respected for her knowledge of being able to do, local, state, and national designations. That's part of what we're looking for with this too, is making sure that we're doing this in a way where we're truly going to be able to make a long-lasting impact to make sure that these properties and yes, these stories don't go away. We're all on the same team, and we really do want to make sure that this city starts to embrace everyone and that the diversity. And really, Charles and I look at this as a launching pad, and I have talked with several members on the council about different things that are a piece of this. Yes, I want the rules to change. Nobody should ever have to go through this again. Nobody should ever have to go through what Charles and I have been through, and that should be absolutely clear. Two, there has to be an advisory committee set up. There has to be a better private-public partnership between between the neighborhoods in Rock Island and between city council. I was part of a sustainability committee years ago, and it was fantastic. And it was where the city would talk about different things that were going on, and then they would have equal opportunity to talk, with the different businesses that were involved about what was going on. It made a big difference, and it led to a lot of partnerships that wouldn't have been formed otherwise. Three, we want somebody on the Historic Preservation Commission that's from this community. It's a very big deal. What Charles is talking about, and what we have talked about too, is that there isn't anybody else who's got this specific field of knowledge for historic sites on a national, a state, and a federal level. Charles has that, but he wants to pass that on, and we so desperately want other properties within Rock Island to do that, and we want to bring a group of people together so that they can take it to the next level. The next thing we want a museum. There should be an African-American Quad City museum, and it should be in Rock Island. I would love to see it at Franklin School. That's a big deal. It needs to be at Franklin School. I've also, the Immigrant Center that's at the west end of Rock Island, I would love to see it there too. There's a lot we can do together, but we have got to be given a chance to work together. And I really appreciate your time, and thank you for letting me voice this.
Thank you. All right,
Thank
let's
you.
call a vote.
To clarify, the motion is for option 1.
Yes. And we have, and actually with that, and Dave, you can correct this, but we have two choices. One, if the person seconded and making the motion wishes to withdraw it and make a different motion, or we can take this vote, and if it is turned down, we can then make another motion for a different option. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes, either of those options would work. If the second wanted to withdraw their second and then withdraw the motion, or you can vote on it, and if it does not pass, then there could be another motion.
Okay. Would we like to, you want to stick with your motion? It's up to you. And we'll take a vote and see where it goes. It's up to you two. All right? We'll take a roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
No.
Poulos.
No.
Healy.
No.
Robinson.
No.
Hurt.
No.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
No.
Okay. It failed to pass.
Move to return the grant to the NPS and not proceed with the project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to return the grant. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Nay.
Swanson.
Aye.
Passes. Item number 26.
Report from the mayor's office regarding the appointment of Tammy Powells to the Rock Island Housing Authority.
Motion to approve the appointment?
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 27, other business. Is there anybody wish to bring anything up?
No.
Besides supper?
Yeah, how about no?
At what point, Mr. Mayor, would it be appropriate would I get with Miles to talk about the upcoming events for this summer and needing council approval for any of those? You're aware of the 2 tournaments that I'm talking about?
Correct, and I don't know is it miles you need to, I don't know what you're looking for.
Talk
Just
to that guy.
What would be the approval?
Talk to that guy.
Yeah, we'll talk.
I've got it taken care of on parts end.
All right. So another business, item number 28. You want to read that?
Closed session, 5 ILCS 120-2C1, the appointment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel of the public body.
Move to go into closed session for the exception cited.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.